All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. You don't want to miss any of the content we have coming forward. There's going to be a lot of it. I'm going to try and upload weekly on here, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos when they drop. There's going to be a lot of good stuff, and the whole goal, the whole point of all this is to help you cross that bridge into profitability. And if you want to do that quicker, I have a mentorship. It's down in the link in the description, the first link. And I would totally suggest joining that. Now, this was a trade that I took on the NASDAQ today. It is the 24th of August. It's a Wednesday. And I actually did this in the live mentorship trading floor. So in the Discord community, there's a live trading floor. And I tried to sit down from about 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. or however long it takes for me to get into a trade. Yeah, I pretty much share my screen the whole time, and it's a live New York trading session. So that's kind of how we've been doing things around here. It's one thing to go and back test and replay and see everything in hindsight, but it's another thing to get that experience live, and that's a skill set that you need in order to be profitable in the Forex market. Okay, so I kind of have everyone tag along. I took this with a student this morning. And yeah, so let's go ahead and go over what's going on NAS. So currently on the daily, if we take a look at this, we just broke structure here to the downside. So now we are unconfirmed bearish. And yeah, we are basically just starting to pull back at this point, or we should be expecting some kind of a pullback to at least 50%, or even better, this region up here in premium. So the ideal situation is something like this right now. That's what we're looking for in the long term. Nothing really to mark otherwise on the daily other than this daily supply sitting up here. And yeah, so that's really the only thing we need to mark. And yeah, let's go ahead and drop down to the 4-hour. The indicator that I'm using for market structure is just a personal one right now. I'm in the makes of, I'm in the development process for making one for all the mentorship students so that you never have to mark structure manually again. It follows a 5-candle pivot method, which is also explained in my course. So in the mentorship, there is a 9-chapter course. It's a 15-part video course. And yeah, you basically just learn how I trade. And then we do some live stuff. So like I said, link in the description if you're interested in that. So looking at the 4-hour, we have 2 breaks of structure currently. If we take a look here, so obviously we just made this lower low, and this high put in this low down here. So to me, this high is strong. It should, in theory, hold in the long term. Now, we are expecting, obviously, when we make a lower low, for some kind of pullback. And there's a certain set of rules that we follow to understand when that pullback takes place, how we know when to start buying, and how we know ultimately when to start selling. Okay, so and I'm going to explain that right now, just coming into this trade. So on the 4-hour, there's not really much else to mark. Maybe if we drop down to the 2-hour, we could be sitting inside some kind of demand. So we are actually inside of this demand right here. Currently, this is the demand that's holding, and this is a 2-hour demand. So yeah, let's drop down to the 15-minute now. And I will explain to you how we understood that this 4-hour pullback had begun. Now, although it didn't come all the way up, we're still kind of playing around here. I'll show you how we knew that buys were more probable. So we're inside a 2-hour demand, and as soon as we get the change of character, so as soon as this supply goes right here, this was the 15-minute supply that put in the low. And this was the only sort of demand that could have caused it. So here is our 15-minute demand. And I would even go as far to bring it down here. This is the ultimate extreme, right? This last candle was the demand down here. This was the demand that flipped supply. We took this. And this area is likely to be revisited. And we even had some inducements, some trendline liquidity coming into this POI. So that was the day before. That was on the 23rd, and this would have been a very nice buy to take if you got your entry criteria on the 1 minute. And obviously the term target is this 15-minute high sitting up here. This low is strong to me because it put in a new high. Okay, so let me actually go ahead and see if the structure will load, because right now it's not. There we go. Let's go down to 15-minute, see if it'll load. Okay, there we go. So as you can see here, we had a lower low, which put in a higher high. Okay, so therefore, this low, this is the demand that flips supply. We also put in a higher high. So in theory, this low is strong and it should hold. And that's what we are kind of looking for. So we tapped in here. You either got a trade or you didn't, or got stopped out, and then you took this buy again, and you would have been in profit. Coming into this day, so 6 a.m. for me is London. I live on the East Coast of the United States, so this is still pre-market. The London session is kind of coming to an end, and there's a few things that we can look at here. So if we drop down to the 10-minute. And again, we are obviously looking to buy in this market right now. We can see that we have an unmitigated 10-minute demand level. So we can go ahead and mark that as 10-minute demand. And you'll see that we have created some inducements. So it's now 7:20 a.m. We're starting to come into New York. We can label this as some inducement down here. Let me bring this down here. We'll label that as inducement. Obviously, there's going to be money sitting under there. And when this POI printed, I just want to show you something. So the fact that we took this high, this was an internal break of structure, right? Because right here on the 15-minute, don't pay attention to the structure here on the 10-minute, but on the 15-minute, this over here is our low. This is our extreme. This over here is our high. And we are obviously priced in discount. Okay, so of this leg, if you go ahead and take your Fibonacci from this low to this high, we are obviously priced in discount at this point. And I was also looking at this area. It's better to just pull these. This is actually 15, and this would be your 10-minute demand. Okay, so this POI is likely just inducement for the one below it, but we did look for entries in here because this is technically the demand that took supply, and this is where the internal break of structure took place. Okay, so this was a supply that got taken out by either this demand or this demand, and that's really it, because this wick was somewhat mitigated by this in here, by these wicks in here. And these are really the only two places that I would have been considering looking for buys from. So we have some inducement, and let's go ahead and fast forward. So we tap into the first POI, and we can go ahead and drop down to the 1 minute because it's going to bring us into the next one anyhow. Like I said, this was a trade that I did take, and it's all over my Instagram, my Telegram, if you follow that. So here is some entry criteria. So here was the last supply. This is your 1 minute change of character. Okay, and the only area that could have caused that was this down here. Okay, so here is your demand. If price is to come back down into here, we'll obviously be looking to take some entries. Okay, doesn't look like we tapped in just yet, and we absolutely blow through it. And this to me is an invalidated POI. So this gets completely erased. As soon as price clicks through my POI, it's invalidated. I can't use it anymore. And that's just the rules that I go by. And all we're doing now is looking for that next change of character. So we'll go ahead and keep playing price. We can see that we are creating some liquidity up here to take in the near future. And right now it's this high that needs to go in order for me to mark it as a change of character. So we'll go ahead and mark this 1 minute chalk with a question mark because it didn't happen yet. Again, we have some liquidity up here that obviously needs to be taken. So yeah, so this was the supply that put in the low. That was the last supply. And that is my 1 minute shock if we are to break it. And I use Wix as well. It doesn't need a body break. In this case, we did get the body break, okay? And the last sort of demand area that caused that was in this candle, okay? Or if you just pull the black candle, you can totally do that. If you want to be stickler and refine as much as possible like me, it was obviously this candle. You can totally go ahead and pull the black one, but for this trade, I just pulled the last demand. You know, that's the last demand for me. So if we are to come back into this area and we get some entry criteria, I'll be looking for a buy. So we just swipe that liquidity, and here we tap back into our POI. I like to see a few things, and all the rules for entry criteria, they're very strict. They never change. It's always market execution. And that is in, I believe it's chapter 6 of the course. So again, if you're interested in the mentorship and learning how exactly, we get into trades and how the entry criteria works, that is all in the mentorship. Okay. So there's my wick. That's an indecision candle, exactly what I like to see. And another indecision candle. And then here is your bullish engulfment. Now, I got in halfway up this candle as it was printing. I believe there were a few seconds left by the time, get rid of this. I believe there were a few seconds left by the time it was already up here. So to me, that's a bullish engulfment. Let's go ahead and just say I entered right after it was printed for the sake of this video. And if you're smart, you'll cover the low plus some spread. Me, that's a huge stop loss to me. I went ahead and I covered this doji candle. And I always add spread 5 pip or 5 points, whatever you want to call it, for NASDAQ. So 16.7, that would bring you to 21.7. Okay. And like I said, I entered on like halfway up this candle, which was at like 14 something. So this is how my actual entry looked, was right here. But for the sake of this video, we'll just go ahead and cover the high. Okay, so right now you're in the trade. Again, you cover the low, 16.3 plus some spread would be 20.3. That looks good to me. And we can go ahead back out to the 10-minute, and we can take a look at an area that we want to be targeting, or even the 15-minute. So again, this is your 15-minute high up here. This would be the long-term target. However, if you go down to the 10-minute, what you'll notice is this area of supply. Okay, so this is definitely an area that I would have either taken full at, and I did close out my trade here, but the main goal again was to take the week 15-minute high. We still haven't taken it. I'm recording this on the night of the 24th of August. We still haven't taken the high. So yeah, but I took my whole position off here. I obviously managed it. I obviously took partials as well, so I didn't get the full which would be 6R. For the sake of this video, it's 4.5 because I put my entry. Let's just go ahead and put it down to exactly where I entered. It was a 14.7 pip stop. 14.9 looks good to me. So if you'll take a look here, back on the 15-minute, at this high, it's about 6.4. And after parceling out, I only got around 4 3/4 to 5R. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I took the whole 6.5R. Some days I will just let it run. Other days, 90% of my days, I will take partials. So let's go back down to the 1 minute here. And let's see how price kind of played. So we played around quite a bit, tapped in again. And it's at this point where you can start to kind of look to re-enter. I don't really see any entry opportunities. This here didn't tap into anything down here, although it did take some liquidity. I personally wouldn't have entered. And if you're this far up in the leg, the chances are after one to 3 breaks of structure. If you're trying to get in down here, you're likely just liquidity. You're going to get wiped and price is going to continue. So after 3 breaks of structure, there's no point in really looking for an entry on the 1 minute time frame. It's better just to go back to the 15-minute and look for the next demand to take another long from. Okay, so let's go back down to the 1 minute and let's see how this plays. Right. Okay. So as soon as we tapped in there, I obviously managed it on the way up. I covered my stop loss at 3R and I took 80% off at 5R, which was right here. Okay. So yeah, that's how this went down. And then we sort of reacted to this 10-minute supply. We had 2 changes of character, and then the third one actually wound up working, and a student did catch the sell. So that's awesome too. So that we were both buys and, buys and sells on the same day. Again, the entry stays the same. Okay. So you swept the highs here. And the low that actually put in the demand that put in that high was this one right here. So once this gets swept like that, I would label that chalk bottom. And there's only one candle that could have caused that. And it's this one up here. Here's your supply. And that is not entry criteria for me. However, it might be for others. I look for a little bit more than what's going on in here. Again, that's in the mentorship. That's all in the entry criteria chapter. I cover the whole thing. Yeah, so that is the trade I took. That's the breakdown on NASDAQ for the 24th of August in 2022. Now, if you guys like this kind of stuff and you're enjoying the content that I've been putting out, please press that subscribe button, like and comment any questions you have. All my contacts are in the description as well, or just comment in the video. I would love to help you out, and I would love to have you as a student as well. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Good luck, good trading.